And we're back. I'm back. Annoyed as hell about something, but I'm back. Okay. So in that last match, pretty much got carried by the people because my team was fairly pro. Sorry, just turning on my heater. Yeah. Diana. Yeah, so instead of Yi, let's go with someone like Diana in the jungle. When you're trying to play the role of jungler, what you want is basically you want three things: damage deflection. Four things. You want damage. You want damage deflection, damage restoration, slowdown, and durability. When I say damage deflection, I mean something like a personal shield, or some way of mitigating the damage that you would take from both monsters and other champions. A reason why a lot of champions such as Fiddlesticks, for example, or Elise, or Yi are marked as jungle champions is because they all have a built-in heal or some other way of negating the amount of damage that is received from monsters and enemy champions. So Diana has both a built-in shield, and with Spirit of the Spectral Wraith you can then drain monsters of health and mana. So it gives you great sustain both in the jungle and when you actually get out into the field to perform ganks and fight enemies one-on-one. The problem with Spirit of the Spectral Wraith, and I'm actually going to do a video on this, is that it's not as good as the other two jungle items, Spirit of the Ancient Golem and Spirit of the Ancient Lizard. The reason for this is because with Spirit of the Ancient Golem you gain a permanent buff of health, cooldown reduction, tenacity, on top of Butcher and Conservation. The latter two which are applicable to each of the three jungle items. With Spirit of the Elder Lizard you gain permanent attack damage, permanent cooldown reduction, permanent incinerate, passive, and Butcher and Conservation, but with Spirit of the Spectral Wraith you only gain ability power, cooldown reduction, spirit drain, which is basically more ability power throughout the course of the game, like a slow build, and Butcher and Conservation. What it does not include, which is a problem, is mana regeneration separate to the Butcher passive. Why is this important? Because with a jungle champion such as, for example, Master Yi, he has a built-in heal. He depends on health in order to keep himself alive. On top of that, he's got Butcher, which takes health and mana from the monsters. If you were to go with Spirit of the Ancient Golem. Anyway, if you go with Elder Lizard, like I did in the last match, ranked match that I posted, you have Butcher and then you have his passive heal. On a lot of other jungle champions, they have ways of healing themselves, such as with Lee Sin, he's got built-in lifesteal, but he doesn't require mana. Yi does require mana, but he doesn't use that much of it to require that he has some form of mana regeneration outside of the jungle. With an AP jungler such as Fiddlesticks, the only way to restore mana is by fighting monsters. The minute you go in for a gank, use a few spells, you've got no mana left. If you don't spend all your time in the jungle and go out, start killing minions, assisting in pushing lanes and so forth, you run out of mana. Spirit of the Spectral Wraith should include some form of base mana regeneration for AP champions. The issue with this, however, is of course that as soon as you go on to champions such as as soon as you go on to AP champions that don't require mana regeneration, no, I'm not sure where I was going with that actually. I was thinking of AP champion that doesn't require mana regeneration. AP jungle. Actually, I don't know. I don't think there is actually an AP jungle champion that doesn't require mana regeneration. Not I can think of anyway. Not offhand. Well, there's not one like Yi anyway. That only uses a very tiny amount of mana but requires mana. Well, maybe Darius, I suppose. Yeah, Darius maybe. Who has the mana limiter, but he doesn't require a great deal of mana regeneration in order to sustain his abilities. But then again, he's not AP, so yeah, can't think of one. But anyway, if you're going to be an AP jungler, you need more mana regeneration than what is provided by Butcher. I mean, okay, yes, you can just rush, get Spirit Stone and then rush, for example, Grail. Grail is, no, Chalice. Rush Chalice, which solves basically mana regeneration, period. Once you've got it, you hardly ever need to get any other items unless you're an AP mid laner such as Ziggs or Malzahar. But in terms of jungling, you really want more mana regeneration than what is provided for by Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. But yeah, when using Diana, she only needs a small amount of mana regeneration. Yeah, she only needs a small amount of mana regeneration, which is why you'll see on my Dominion builds here, I get Will of the Ancients, because they recently changed it, so rather than just giving Spell Vamp and Ability Power, it also gives mana regeneration and cooldown reduction, which is more than enough by itself to sustain Diana's abilities. Initially, however, you want to get Spirit of the Spectral Wraith, and you have to rush it. You can't, for example, just get Hextech Revolver. No, what? You have to rush it fully. You can't get Spirit Stone and then get something else instead of spending 2,000 gold on it initially. So, like, for example, you can't do that, for example. Get Spirit Stone, then get Hextech Resolver, then get the boots, and then polish off Wraith. It's because why can't you do that? Because you need the increase in bonus damage from Butcher in order to sustain her abilities, that's why. So yeah, get that flat, and then from there on out you're just building ability power and Spell Vamp. Bit like Steel from Hextech Gunblade. The thing about Diana is that it's all about the like a strike ability with her. The way Diana works is that her passive, every 3 strikes, hits for something comparable to Lichbane. She's got a built-in Lichbane, basically. So the 2 things that you need are, because it's based on how often you hit your opponent, you need attack speed and ability power, Nash's Tooth. Cooldown reduction enhances the effect, and the basic attack hit on 15 plus 15% of ability power. Bonus magic damage obviously enhances the overall effect of the 3-strike passive of Diana, because every 3 strikes you hit for a massive amount of damage, and then over those 3 strikes you're hitting for 15, 30, 45 damage plus 45% of your ability power. That's over 3 strikes. Add in a Lichbane to that, it gives you extra mana, which is useful because with the enhanced mana regeneration from Will of the Ancients, over time you build up a larger stock of mana from jungling and can then take that into the field away from monsters, which gives you your primary source of mana regeneration from fighting monsters. The combination of Nash's and Lichbane and her passive makes it so her burst damage is ridiculously high. I mean, I think you do somewhere around 1,000, 1,005, maybe even 2,000 damage in the opening moments once you get this lot combined with pure ability based runes, which I don't currently have, so it's a good job I checked that. Yeah, so pure ability based runes combined with the mage setup here. Butcher and Feast. They're basically not worth getting. Not in my opinion. Do I need the cooldown reduction? No, I don't. It's 10, 20, 30, 40. As I said with Yi, 40% cooldown reduction is required. It's not an optional thing in my opinion. If you're going to play any champion, that's what you want to get. But yeah, 2 points should be over there. And actually, that should be over there too. Yeah. Right. Yeah, so she benefits from attack speed. And she doesn't need the cooldown reduction because maximum is 40 and the item build gives 40%, so it's worth getting Butcher and Feast. Although, to be honest, that stuff is pointless because it's such a tiny, insignificant effect. It only actually applies for like the first couple of minutes of the actual match. After that, it's completely non-noticeable. It's the same thing with this. Bladed armor, tough skin, block, or unyielding. They are so insignificant in terms of what they actually grant the champion. There's not really much point in them. I mean, it doesn't give you that much of an edge or make you that much more efficient. Although, yes, there is something to be said for any bonus is still a bonus, but overall the attack speed gains, or even as a tiny bit more armor, is worth it over a tiny bit more armor over exclusively monsters. So, anyway. Yeah, you combine her passive, Nash's Tooth, Lichbane, and then stack both Spell Vamp from Will of the Ancients and Hextech Gunblade. Combined with, obviously, the attack damage would enhance her physical strikes, although she's basically a pure AP, even though, yes, her passive is hit on with a physical attack, the physical damage is negligible. So, there is something to be said for getting the Hextech Gunblade earlier rather than later, because obviously the lifesteal, the attack damage, and the active slowdown is very useful for a jungler. But I've never had much of a problem just using her E to slow down enemies after you've used your abilities to catch up with them. The amount of damage output that she's got makes most people simply try to run rather than fight. And in a gank situation, you're probably going to either kill them outright with the initial burst damage, or they're going to try to run, and whoever's lane it is will be able to assist you in killing them. The way Diana works is that you use Q first to apply Moonlight, I think it's called, the Moonlight debuff. Then you hit her ulti. You hit her ulti in order to flash straight to the opponent, which then resets immediately. Then you use E to slow them down, W to create a personal shield, which increases once you popped all three of the spheres orbiting the avatar of Diana. And then passive is how you cause the most damage. You'll see once we get into the game, but the way I describe her is that she pulses with power, basically. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's a kind of pulse thing. I mean, each of the different champions feel a different way. Like with Fiddlesticks, it feels like a creeping sort of damage. You attack the opponent and then you drain them. It's creeping basically. And with Diana, it's a pulse of power. It's like boom, boom, boom. you hit him with massive amounts of damage over and over again, and with 40% cooldown reduction combined with Nash's and Lich, that damage is multiplicative. It's astonishingly high. You'll see once we get into the game anyway. But yeah, if you're going to play Diana, this is the way to do it. A lot of people get the Lich Bane because it's obvious, because she's got a built-in Lich Bane, but not a lot of people get Nash's Tooth, even though it's got 20% cooldown reduction, and over the course of 3 hits, it does actually increase the amount of damage that you do quite significantly, because it's like having 3 Lich Banes rather than 2. That's the best way to describe it. As standard, I always get Spell Vamp or Lifesteal on every champion, regardless of who it is I'm playing, because it just, even if you've only got 10% Lifesteal on your basic attacks, it's some way of recovering health without using potions or well, it's one of those, as I said before, it's one of those permanent passive effects. Like, you'll continuously regenerate health regardless of the situation in hand. Just by playing, you're regenerating yourself. That's the way you should play any champion in the entire league. Yeah, I made my point. So good. Yeah, so once again, Alacrity on Sorcerer's Shoes. One of the ones I completely dismissed the idea of Captain because, to be frank, I'm selfish when it comes to play. I expect myself to carry myself. I don't depend on my allies. Distortion, I did use that once upon a time, but 25% reduction of it, it's not really all that essential. I mean, yeah, okay, if you're playing an AP, if I'm playing an AP champion, summon the spells by 10%. If you get Distortion as well, that's like 35% reduction on teleport, which can be quite useful sometimes, but when you're running away from the enemy, and you will run away from the enemy when you need mobility, what you want is Alacrity. It's that simple. Home Guard, dismissed that out of hand as well. I prefer permanent constant buffs, which might not be as high as, for example, Home Guard, but Alacrity is still a better option in my opinion. I did consider Fura. Fura? Could be Fura. Because, again, enhanced mobility, but it's only with single target spells or attacks that it applies. I don't notice that buff nearly as much as I do with Alacrity, and again, it's something that's only active some of the time. If you want it, yeah, it's only active some of the time, and a more reliable way of doing it is to just get a permanent, okay, low, but a permanent buff. It's a better way of doing it. Something that you can constantly rely on, that you don't have to think about. Is this active? Is it not active? Yeah. So, playing Diana in Summoner's Rift. Hopefully, anyway. I'll take mid if it's not available and basically just go with... That's something I should probably prepare, actually. I might need more mana regeneration than that. I've never actually played Diana in Summoner's Rift before in any other role apart from jungle. I know that this works. Basically, it's not something I'm trying for the first time. I would never try something for the first time I'm recording anyway. But, yeah. So basically, Will of the Ancients first. Obviously, I'd have to get the Fairy Charms initially, because you only get 430, just over 435 to start the match off with anyway. Blackfire Torch in Dominion, that's not available in Summoner's Rift, that's only available in Dominion, and gives 5% movement speed, 10% cooldown reduction, 80 ability power, which is obviously highly useful. The Summoner's Rift version of that, of Blackfire Torch, is Deathfire Grasp, which includes cooldown reductions, so I'm going to take it, but it doesn't include the movement speed, unfortunately, but it does include more ability power, so I guess that's a fair trade. The thing about Dominion and the Twisted Tree Line is that it's more about mobility than it is about tactics. Summoner's Rift is more about tactics than mobility, so obviously it would give you more ability power and lower the increase in magic damage because you've got more allies around to cause damage in a mid-fight. It's more expensive too, because obviously you've got more gold available than you do in Dominion or Twisted Tree Line, so that makes sense. The rest of the items are perfectly applicable in Summoner's Rift. It's just that one change. And if I'm going mid, obviously I'm not going to get Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. I'm going to go straight with Will of the Ancients like I would in Dominion or Twisted Tree Line, because I still need the mana regeneration. I might have to go with Grail if I haven't got enough mana regeneration, which I probably should account for as well. That's a bad build. Just delete that. Yeah, so if I was forced to go with Grail, probably grab that just there. Normally, if I was going for this on purpose, I would grab 10 more armor in my runes, because she gains 30 armor naturally over magic resistance. So, but no, obviously I can't expect to go in using this and then switch to this. So yeah, I mean, you lose the active, but alternatively you gain a bit more resistance, and becomes a problem. Actually, Grail might not be the ideal. Perhaps Morello's. No, because that's got 20 as well. So I'm just trying to balance out the cooldown reduction, because I've currently got 10, 30 and 50, which I'm not giving up Nash's, and the Spell Vamp and mana regen. Well, you don't need the mana regeneration, do you? The Spell Vamp's too valuable. So perhaps no, because I need cooldown reduction. This is a bit tricky. So cooldown reduction and ability power plus mana regen. That leaves you Will of the Ancients or Grail or Morello's. Will, I'm not giving up. Excuse me. Could go for Morello's, because Grievous Wounds is actually kind of handy. Once again, it gives you too much cooldown reduction. If I don't have enough mana regeneration, screw it. I probably will have enough mana regeneration by just using Will, and if not, I can grab a Grail. I mean, just a Chalice rather than the full Grail, and then figure out something later as the battle goes on, because the match might end before I even get to the end of Lichbane, so that's fine. Yeah. Fine, fine, and fine. Right. Okay. Queuing. Queuing is boring. My voice is totally giving out. It doesn't matter if I rested, it's still giving out. Match found. Yay! I got to pick bands again. Guaranteed jungle placement. Blah, 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 blah. Placement. Guaranteed jungle placement. Fizz. Fizz. Fizz? Can you see Fizz there? I can't. The enemy might not have him. Fine. I'm taking Diana. LeBlanc then. Prefer mid with Yas. Don't ban Yas. Trina. Stupid ban. Who else do you think? Can't ban Fizz. Cass is already gone. Ev. Yas is gone. Ren. Ren. Oh, not a lot of champions here. Comparatively speaking. Riven. I'd a guess. Yeah, Riven's OP. I would have banned Renekton, but I can't see him either.
A new moon is rising.
Shit! Oops! I think I may have forgotten something. Ability runes. No worries, she works with attack speed as well. Oops! We're not paying attention. Yeah, we're good. That's really weird. I've never been on a ban selection without being able to see guys like Fizz. Everyone has Fizz. Everyone knows Fizz is OP. And Renekton as well. I was going to ban Catelyn, but I didn't see her. Maybe she wasn't there. Maybe I wasn't looking properly, I don't know. Huh. How strange. Oh well. Diana's good. Kayle can be good, can be bad. Depends who is mid. Nid. Mid is in... No, Nid is in mid. Nid. Nid. In the mid. Depends, when fighting a Nid, it depends on how good you are at dodging. Kayle should be alright though. Kayle. I don't know. Kaylee? I think it's Kaylee. I'm pretty sure it's Kaylee. For some reason I call her Kayle. I don't know. Mundo can be good. Hit or miss. Mundo. Leona's useful. Yeah, Leona combined with my burst damage, that should be pretty damn effective. Ooh, enemy Darius. You don't see him very much. He's very powerful, but you don't see him very often. A lot of people don't play him as a tank. He is a consummate tank. Just build armor, anything to keep you alive long enough for you to get maximum stacks and then use your ulti. That is entirely how to play him. And nobody ever sees it but me. Well, most people don't see it but me. It's like with Xin. His Zin's Q and... yeah, his Zinzahal's Q does the damage. Zinzahal's W keeps him alive. But nobody ever builds tank to take advantage of those factors. Instead they just build a lot of damage and end up getting killed really easily from burst damage. You don't see a lot of Graves. Not sure if Graves is good really. Catelyn's probably better. So's Jinx. I think it's another hit and miss really. Amy's going to be a problem. Well, for my allies anyway, I generally avoid him. It's, people underestimate mass stuns. Kennen, Amy Mew, Leona. They are incredibly nasty if your enemies don't have enough intelligence to avoid them. Of course, I've got a slow and my burst damage is ridiculously high. In terms of effectiveness, I'm a lot more effective than Amy Mew, but in the late game, a good Amy Mew can paralyze an entire enemy team. And when you've got guys like Darius, if Varus gets fed, Lulu, they can cause massive damage quite easily. Nidalee is a pain. An annoying pain. If she can aim well, she's a problem. And if she gets killed, she's a bloody nightmare, but mostly she's a pain because you're always chasing her across the map. I always end up chasing Nidalees. It's very, very annoying. If you've got good crowd control though, you can generally deal with her. But I mean, even with Master Yi and a mallet, even if you activate his ulti and you hit her with the slowdown from mallet, she can still get away from you if she runs into the jungle. Really irritating like that. Lulu's ulti is really irritating as well. Lulu and Amy Mew are going to be a problem, I think. And depending on how good Mundo is, so might Darius. Fed Darius is a bit of a pain, but between my burst damage and Leona, we should be able to take care of him. And we're in. Wraith.
They would not listen.
I should be able to deal with Amy Mew personally. 1 AP, whole single point of AP. Obviously.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
I need some help. My increased attack speed will assist with Moon Silver Blade anyway.
Seconds until minions spawn.
Power Cascade for the shield initially. As I said, most of jungling is about damage deflection until you can get hold of something like Spell Vamp or Lifesteal.
Minions have spawned.
And estimate them? Don't underestimate them. Meh, I'm pretty good, personally. Should be able to take him down. One thing I forgot to mention actually is Diana jungles like crazy.
Bring down.
You'll see in a minute, it's literally I can just sweep through the jungle in a couple of seconds. I forgot to mention attack speed is actually really good for jungle champions.
I cannot turn back.
Because Hunter's Machete works on attack speed. So as you see, my health's sustaining fairly low, even at this early stage. Comparatively speaking, anyway. Yep. See what I mean? Just kill things en masse. Partly because Moon Silver Blade and partly because of Pale Cascade. And that is why you should have teleport.
Chosen of the moon.
Game 400, straight upgrade to Spirit Stone, then you teleport over to get red. Prevents raiding and makes you just that little bit stronger.
Embrace the night.
More efficient than your opponent. would have just looked at the item build of, but he's not around.
My eyes
Yet.
are open.
Initially, you will find that you will be wandering around with very little health,
Moon also rises.
which is the price of doing business in the early game. Very shortly, though, that'll change. And I'll basically take absolutely no damage from the monsters and just kill them almost instantaneously.
Dusk approaches.
Fortunately, my allies are something on their own at the moment.
I speak only truth.
1300 straight up.
I will be heard.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's feed the Darius, shall we?
They could not
I
break
have
me.
no health. I cannot gank yet. Of course, I don't actually realise this. Because why would they?
Also rises.
If you can't tell yet, what I'm trying to do is outfarm my opponent. Gain enough power quick enough so in the mid game I can gank really, really easily. To be honest, you shouldn't really expect ganks until the jungler has the lawful. That's just my opinion anyway. Well, it depends on the situation.
Ignorant.
Oh dear.
I would not listen.
Crap. Thought that might happen. Didn't lose anything, just a couple of seconds really. Okay, first ignore of the game.
I cannot turn back.
My usual response when somebody says something like that. I mean, yes, okay, not exactly the most professional thing to do in the entire world, but it happens. Graves.
Blind to the truth. Chosen of the moon.
It's not hurting so much anymore.
Follow no false light.
I hate how mids think they're entitled to my blue. I mean, I don't mind giving it to them occasionally, but feeling entitled to it, especially when they just said, "Oh, I'm going to report you,"
Ally has been slain.
makes me wonder why I should give a shit what they want.
I will be heard.
The most team play spirit of me, but on the other hand, you just told me, you just insulted me, so, yeah, well, go fuck yourself. That's what I think.
I speak only truth.
Seriously? Seriously, they're just going to stand there. Awesome.
My eyes are open.
You find this occasionally in this game. There's people who think about themselves and don't actually consider the consequences of their actions. It's like, hi, I'm going to insult you, then I'm going to demand that you do something which benefits me.
An enemy has been slain.
I'm not going to take into consideration.
Double kill.
I'm not going to take into consideration your personal situation. I'm just going to tell you what I think you should be doing.
Embrace the night.
I am kind of stubborn and a little bit obstinate. There's a ward there, obviously.
They would not listen. I speak only truth.
Stupid little bitch.
I will be heard. Chosen of the moon.
Yeah, it's petty, and I'm vindictive. But at the same time, if you're going to insult someone, don't then ask you to do them. Don't then ask them for a favour.
My eyes are open.
You see what I said about damage output? I'm not taking any damage from these guys anymore. Just a constant stream of killing them. Can I gank there? No. Maybe I can. There's one thing which annoys me about some people is that they push them right up until like around here and then ask for ganks. It's like, sure, I'll gank as soon as they're not so close to their own tower that it makes it impossible to do anything.
Follow no false light.
That was badly executed in every sense of the
I
word.
cannot turn back.
What? No, it wasn't. Sorry, quote from somewhere else, never mind. Shut up, person.
Dusk approaches.
Anyway, yes, it's all
An enemy
good.
has been slain.
It's fine. I should probably go and assist bot, but never mind.
They could not break me.
You have slain an enemy.
Yep. See what I mean about damage output?
I speak only truth.
Balls. Ulti, cool down. She's kind of like a Keeley in some respects, except Keeley can only use.
The moon also.
She only has like a short sequence of damage output, and after that she's practically useless. That's why she has Smokescreen. But with Diana it's not like that because her passive does so much damage.
Embrace the night.
Killing spree.
What's doing well?
Shut down.
More or less.
Vision of the moon.
Yeah, it's too far away, and if I get hit again. Holy crap, I got 2180. Oops.
I cannot turn back.
It's the one problem with this build is that you are kind of squishy, and if you run up against someone who's pure AD like Darius, you may find they kill you in just a couple of hits. Oh yeah. Interesting.
My eyes are opened.
That means I'm going to be able to hit him like a hammer. Notice how, if you saw my other game, Shyvana kept on coming into my jungle and stealing my farm. And in this one I haven't seen Amy Mew at all. That's because, firstly, Amy Mew has no ability for damage deflection
Chosen of the moon.
or health regeneration, no movement speed enhancement to enable raiding, and
They could not.
I just
break
don't think any is all I did
Has been slain.
either.
An ally has been slain.
Slight problem, my lad, and shot. Balls.
Embrace the night.
As well while I'm here.
An enemy has been slain.
My
An
eyes
enemy
are
has
One
been
sec.
slain.
They would not listen.
Enemy killing
Follow
spree.
no
Oh
false
dear.
light.
Darius 3-0. He is going to be a problem.
I
Your
speak
team
only
has
truth.
destroyed a turret.
1385, nearly there.
I cannot turn back. I will be heard. No more lies.
Probably not going to catch her. That's not there.
Dusk approaches.
Their ADCs come mid.
I
To go and
speak
assist. Oh dear. Top. Top.
Enemy rampage.
Yeah. I love how our ADC is still in the bottom of the lane.
The moon also.
Fucking yes.
My eyes are
Stupid
open.
bastard.
Embrace the night.
I really must get some armor. Ability, power, armor. Hourglass. Screw it. Haven't died
An
yet.
enemy has been slain.
Might be a problem, might not be. Nice. Very nice.
An enemy has been slain.
That's it. Going down here.
They could not.
Again, not that I mind being with pros. Being with pros is good for a change. But I'm not exactly showing
I
off myself
will
here, am
be
I?
heard.
Your team has destroyed.
Thank you, golems. Thank you. Bye bye. What's he using? He's got no AP. He's an AP character and he's got champion, but he's got no AP. Awesome.
Chosen of
Do
the
you want to die, please? Thank you. That's strange. Easy
They
enough.
could not break me. Chosen
Top as
of
well. Fucking graves, man.
I will be heard.
Okay, lag spike. One lag spike later, I'm going top to deal with him. Try to deal with him. And he's left.
Follow no
Okay, never
false
mind.
light. Dusk approaches. The moon also rises.
Okay, that was ridiculously easy. That Amy.
Your team has destroyed.
No
a
AP
turret.
whatsoever. Wonder he didn't hurt me a second ago.
Lies.
No magic resistance. And, oh, there we go, magic resistance at last.
Your
No
team
AP.
has destroyed.
Genius.
They would not listen.
This is called the split push. It's where most of your team is in another lane and you're dismantling another.
I cannot
has destroyed a turret.
Now it's time to back off. We're done. 2485. About another 100.
Embrace the night.
Okay, 140. That's almost as much as the ADC. And more than the enemy ADC. No, just warding.
My eyes are open.
Oh. It'd be really foolish to stick around. It really would. Just kill a couple to make my point, and then leave them there.
Also rises.
Good. Too freaking easy, maybe. Make good entertainment, but good. Another win.
Embrace the night.
Better than a loss.
Climb to the truth.
Some bitch. Oh dear.
Godlike.
That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Let's go get Nash's. Nash's. And a Sheen. Excuse me. Ye gods. That was fairly high.
My eyes are open.
Lawnmower. I am a lawnmower. I am not a champion. I am a
Bring down
lawnmower.
the sun.
We got attack speed.
Has destroyed a turret. Rampage.
I will be heard.
Excuse me, I'm just going to dismantle
Legendary.
everything you hold dear.
Shut down. Unstoppable.
You get to watch me dismantle towers, not defeat the enemy.
Has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed a turret.
They will not.
And we won.
Your team has
Yeah.
destroyed
GG.
victory.
Ridiculously bleeding. Easy. As he cracks his neck. That Mundo. Ouch. Graves was good. Team France. I'm pretty sure I'm not French. Though some people think I'm European because of my name. The way I spell it's actually it means it's how you spell it properly in Norwegian. Clockwork. Norwegian? Dutch. Not Norwegian. Norwegian. Where the hell did I get that from? Anyway. Lulu 04 useless. Nid 06 useless. Darius 5-1 pretty good. Emu useless 2-6 and not a single point of AP. That is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I know he's a tank and everything, but ye gods, get Iceborne Gauntlet for crying out loud. And, what's it called? Wraith, not Golem. His mana costs need Wraith. Jeez. 0-6 Varus. Useless. 0-6 Nid. 0-6 Varus. 0-4 Lulu. No wonder they lost. Good gods. 1-1 Leona. 11-1 Graves. Pretty damn good. Bye Mundo. Am I pissed enough to leave them on ignore? I think so. Standing there like an absolute putz, waiting for me to turn around and assist him with a blue. No, not after insulting me. Sorry. Ignore list. You staying on it. Even though you got 7-2. You're a jackass. 2 for teamwork. Yep. GG. Have I got a drink? I have most of a drink. 2 ridiculously easy games where I score almost identically. Neat. I would have scored higher if I'd actually been bothered about hunting them down, but there wasn't much point to it, seeing as Graves was sweeping the floor. More efficient to just take out towers. Okay. Yeah, I'll do for a second. Going to take another short break and then do, if I can find it, the last 2 ranked matches. Back in a moment.